I've been reading a lot of your comments lately, and I'm starting to notice a pattern. So many of you say you feel healed. You've done the work, faced your shame, unpacked your childhood, and come to feel confident and happy with who you are. But now, the biggest struggle isn't internal anymore. It's external. You're struggling to connect with other gay men. I've read comment after comment sharing horror stories about toxic experiences in the gay community. And now, even though you finally feel good about yourself, finding a partner or even just genuine gay friends feels hopeless. Or maybe you've pulled away from the community altogether. If that sounds familiar, I've got 6 hard truths about why you still feel so disconnected. Number 1. Healing isn't the same as belonging. You can be fine alone, but still starve for connection. A lot of gay men put in the internal work. They faced their past, unpacked the shame, learned how to self-soothe, how to be emotionally honest with themselves, how to name their triggers, and how to sit with pain rather than flee from it. But that's all internal. That's a personal system of survival and growth. What many gay men don't realize is that belonging is an entirely different ecosystem. It exists in external space, in community, in shared rituals, in group dynamics, in being seen and received by others as you are. It's not about your individual progress. It's about how you show up with and for others and how others respond to that. So even if you feel whole within yourself, you may still feel disconnected and lonely. Why? Because you can't belong in a group by yourself. Belonging is not a reward you get for healing. It's a messy, mutual process of being included, accepted, and chosen, not just once, but over and over again. And that takes other people, which means navigating their mess too, not just yours. Number 2, you may secretly judge the very people you're trying to get close to. Here's something that many healed gay men don't like to admit. The more emotionally self-aware they become, the more frustrated or disillusioned they can feel with others who aren't there yet. You might find yourself scanning others' behaviors, diagnosing their wounds, or quietly rolling your eyes as what you see as drama, superficiality, or toxic dynamics. This creates a subtle wall. When you begin to see yourself as evolved and others as emotionally behind or unhealthy, you stop being open to them as human beings. You see their pain as a liability. You stop extending grace. You tell yourself you're just protecting your peace, but often you're just reinforcing disconnection with new language. That's not healing, that's distancing. And no one wants to get close to someone who doesn't truly respect them or feel connected to them. If you look down on the community you're trying to rejoin, if you think you're above the nightlife crowd or exhausted by the unhealed energy, you'll keep finding yourself on the edges, confused why you're still alone. You can't connect with people you don't allow to be complex and imperfect, just like you were once, and still are in many ways you may not want to admit. Number 3, you learned how to desire men, but not how to be intimate with them. For most gay men, early experiences of love, identity, and attraction are shaped by fear, secrecy, or conditional acceptance. This often splits our experience of other men into one of 2 roles: the object of sexual desire or the potential threat of rejection. Emotional closeness and physical connection were rarely modeled together in a healthy way. So even after years of internal work, many gay men remain strangers to intimacy with other men, especially platonic, vulnerable, sustained closeness. It's common to mistake sexual chemistry for connection, or to default to flirtation because it's the only socially acceptable form of closeness we've practiced. Even friendships can become competitive, image-based, or shallow. Not because we're broken, but because we weren't given a blueprint for anything else. Healing doesn't automatically teach you how to trust other men with your softest parts. Your boredom, your insecurities, your joy, your uncertainty, your need. That kind of intimacy has to be built actively over time, and it requires emotional risk, even embarrassment. You'll have to endure awkward silences, unmet expectations, and the slow dance of earning trust. If you're still performing even a little, you'll feel it, and so will they. Number 4, you're still in a culture that rewards avoidance and perfection. One of the hardest things to accept is that no matter how much growth you've experienced on a personal level, you're still part of a wider culture that hasn't necessarily grown with you. Gay spaces, especially those shaped online, in nightlife, or in image-driven circles, still often reward what looks good over what feels real, performance over vulnerability, distance over intimacy. Even if you stepped away from that mindset personally, you're still moving through it socially. That means you're trying to build meaningful connection inside an ecosystem that still runs on avoidance, fear of rejection, and emotional control. That's not your fault, but it is your reality. You may walk into a space hoping for depth, but find that most people are still playing characters. The funny one, the sexy one, the mysterious one, the effortlessly cool one. Everyone's trying to be wanted without showing want. No one's really saying, I'm lonely too. So when you bring your full, unguarded self to the table, you might feel invisible or out of sync, like you're too much, too sincere, too intense. And that can feel disheartening. It might even make you question your progress. But here's the truth. Healing doesn't guarantee connection. It just makes you capable of it. What it doesn't do is remove you from a world that still fears the very things you're learning to embrace. Softness, honesty, emotional availability. So if you still feel alone, it doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It might just mean you're ahead of the curve emotionally. And that means you may need to create the kinds of spaces you once went searching for. The ones where people don't have to earn connection by performing. Where presence is enough. Where being seen doesn't require being perfect. Number 5, you're still hiding, just in more sophisticated ways. One of the more painful realities is that healing itself can become a disguise. Once you've done the work, there's an expectation, spoken or not, that you should now be wise, grounded, emotionally intelligent. But this can become a pressure. Instead of being vulnerable, you default to sounding insightful. Instead of expressing pain, you label it. Instead of reaching out in your loneliness, you intellectualize it. You might find yourself talking about your feelings without really letting anyone in. You might talk about boundaries, but use them as walls. You might pride yourself on emotional growth, but actually be avoiding emotional exposure, now cloaked in language that sounds mature. This is still hiding. It just looks different than before. True connection requires dropping the polished version of yourself. It means being unsure, messy, in need again. That can feel regressive after so much inner progress. But emotional honesty isn't a performance of insight. It's a practice of presence. If people aren't connecting with you deeply, ask yourself, are they seeing the real me? Or just the well-adjusted projection I've built? Number 6, being healed doesn't mean you're not lonely. It means you can finally feel the depth of it. One of the cruelest paradoxes of healing is that the further you go into your own self-awareness, the more you may begin to feel just how long you've been alone. Healing doesn't just relieve pain, it often uncovers it. When you begin to reconnect with your full emotional self, you also reconnect with the hunger for closeness that may have been buried for years under coping strategies and distractions. You might have once numbed this ache with attention, sex, alcohol, busyness, or ambition. Now, without those buffers, you feel everything. You feel how deeply you've wanted to be known, how many years you've gone without true intimacy, how little space there's been to be held, to be witnessed, to be loved without condition. This is not a failure. It's not a backslide. It's the cost of coming home to yourself. You've opened the door, and now the echo of loneliness is no longer muffled. But that echo isn't a sign you're broken. It's a sign you're alive and ready for something more real than you've ever had before. The question now isn't, why am I still lonely? The question is, what will I build? and with whom now that I finally know what I need. Healing doesn't guarantee connection. It just prepares you for it. Feeling alone after you've done the work isn't failure. It's a sign that you're finally ready for something deeper than performance or approval. The next chapter isn't about being healed. It's about being human with others who are still figuring it out too. Thanks for watching. If you're a gay man and these conversations speak to you, go ahead and hit subscribe. I post new videos every week about the things we go through: love, identity, healing, and everything in between. I'd love to have you be part of this community. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.